Welcome, everyone, to Living Free in Tennessee, where we talk about building the life you choose on your terms. Today is Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. This is episode 531 of Living Free in Tennessee. And today I wanted to do a live recording. I was originally going to do a fun topic: 4 things that you need to learn not to be squeamish about on the homestead. Then Krystal put up online, how do you guys balance have tos and get tos, because she's finding sometimes the things that she gets to do, like go on a hike in the woods, she's so tired she doesn't enjoy it. And I thought that's an even better topic, and it's a really, really good live topic for us to do. So for those of you listening live, hey, go ahead out and post on social that we're live, because I wasn't originally planning to do this. I didn't really let people know except for about 10 minutes in advance. We are streaming on Float, as long as Float is working, Odyssey, my Odyssey channel, and on YouTube. And then if you have something to add to this discussion, just put it in all caps so I can see it. Let me see if I've got the Float. It doesn't look like Float's working. Shoot. Well, I'll hold the Float chat up in case Float starts working. And then I'll also be monitoring Odyssey. So I'll look from time to time on those. For those of you listening to the audio podcast, if you ever want to know when a live stream's happening, my best advice to find out about these last minute ones is go over to the Telegram group, Living Free in Tennessee. There's a group and there's a channel. The channel is just one-way communication. I announce when stuff's happening. And if you don't like to get like caught up in all the chatter, sign up for the channel, because I'll put it out there and then it posts to the group if you're in the group. So that's kind of cool. Before we jump into the main topic of today's show, my first segment is Stomp the Thoughts. And this is where you ask me something and I answer. And this is not from a specific person, because this is from about 10 people. And I get this email a lot, and I wanted to bring it up on a live stream in case other people listening had something they wanted to say about it. But it goes something like this. Hey, Nicole, just found your podcast. Love it. And we've been looking at moving to Tennessee. Where would you recommend I find land in Tennessee or a homestead in Tennessee that is without a lot of regulation and a good, safe place to live? And I don't answer these emails. I probably should have a set answer typed up for these emails, because I get so many of them. Every so often, we host a relocation roundtable discussion, and I think I'll do one of those in March, just so that people thinking of moving can hear from people who live here and people who have moved here, because we've got a good number of people in our network who moved here from other places and learned a lot along the way. But the challenge with a question like that is, I don't know what your priorities are as far as access to hospitals, if you're going to be tapping into government schools, if you like to be near grocery stores and what kind of grocery stores, if you need a specific kind of church or homeschool group, or I don't know, lacrosse practice, whatever it is that you want. There's a lot of things and characteristics about a place that'll make you want it or not want it, right? So when I was getting emails like that, all I can say is, well, I like where I live, but you might not like where I live because it's extremely remote. And it takes me an hour to get to Nashville, and that's the outskirts of Nashville. It takes me an hour to an hour and a half to get anywhere in Nashville that I need to go, and that's the nearest big city. I'm about 40 minutes from Cookeville. That's sort of a city near here. I'm about 25 minutes from the nearest grocery store in Smithville, and it ain't that good. Okay. So I have learned over the course of developing my homestead that the more I get from here and don't have to get from grocery stores, the less I drive around getting stuff. And it totally works for me. But people who are in the habit of weekly or bi-weekly grocery shopping and don't have jobs where they're going to be driving by a grocery store and live like I do, where I do, will spend a lot of money on gas, and it might not be the best fit. Also, culturally here, this area is welcoming once you get past a certain amount of time of getting to know people. And there are good parts and bad parts of the county as far as crime goes. And those are all things you learn by being there. So the best advice I can give to you, if you want to move to Tennessee, is get on the Telegram group and start talking to people. The one that has the most about different places in Tennessee is the LFTN Freedom Cell, which is different than the Living Free in Tennessee group. Start talking to those people. get on MeWe, get on our MeWe group, start talking to people and saying, hey, I'm thinking of moving to Tennessee. These things are important to me. Where should I go check out? And then rather than just move here without coming here first, tell us a month from now, I'm coming down there. I'd like to check some stuff out. Anybody want to do a get together? Because what we get a lot on those groups is tomorrow I will be in Chattanooga. Who wants to get together? And with 1 day notice, it rarely happens that people actually get together. But when you give 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, it's more likely people will come meet you. And I know a lot of people in our area want to meet you. There's also Freedom Cell meetings around the state. And I think coming here and spending time here is the best way to see if you like an area or not. It took me, I lived in Tennessee for 6 months before I bought this place. I lived in Nashville. And I found myself coming out here all the time to go to this big lake that's just over the hill there. And eventually I started looking for like a cheap piece of property I could camp on, so I didn't have to go home to Nashville every, on the nights on the weekend. I didn't have to pay a camping fee. And I ended up buying this place, and it ended up being like a great neighborhood for me to live in. And I changed my whole life after that. So that doesn't always happen that easily for people, but spending time talking to locals and going out to eat in the town nearby and going for hikes in the woods and going fishing and kayaking and whatever else, or renting a place for a little while, get an Airbnb somewhere, can really help you get the flavor of an area. That's the best advice I can give people on the question where to move in Tennessee, because you know what? It's not just Tennessee. Tennessee's a great state. There are so many awesome places to live here that I can't begin to name them all. And you will be able to find something you love if you come here. Well, that's also true in Texas. And that's also true in Florida, right? It's also true in California. Regulatorily speaking and tax-wise, California's not on the top of my list, but it may have something you really like, right? So it's all about priority. With that, it's time for the main topic of today's show, which is what? Have tos versus get tos and how to balance those, which is kind of a fun topic for me to talk about because I like to say something about have tos versus get tos. So this all started. Good morning, Martinson family farm. Martinson family? Oh, Martinson family. Hi. I don't have my glasses on, so I can barely see you. Maybe I should put my glasses back on for the comments section of today's show. Anyway, the have to versus get to thing is interesting because this came from a single mom, 2 teenage boys at home, who is primary breadwinner. You got to take care of the house, got to take care of the kids. The kids have things you want to go to because they're doing cool things, and she needs time for herself. And that's a lot to have on a plate. Like you'll get your planner out and it'll be like, well, I ran out of space to write everything on this, right? That's what that looks like when you have those sorts of schedules. And life is busy. No matter what you do, life is busy. And when you add complication, it gets busier. I did a show earlier this month on like what my day looks like and how I get everything done. And part of the answer was I don't get everything done. And part of it is like I have sort of a psychotic schedule from when I get up in the morning till about noon. Well, then Cece, my dog, got really hurt. Like I describe it as a cut, but think about like degloving. Like deglove half the skin off your leg from up at your thigh all the way down to your ankle. That's what happened to my dog. And they can't sew that shut. So it's just open. And it's taking a long time to heal. And she's a dog. I can't tell her to stop touching it. So she's got to come, well, she takes extra care. When I feed her, I have to supervise her because I have to make sure she doesn't lick the wound, but I got to take the cone off. When she wants water, I got to take the cone off. I've tried all sorts of friendly cones. Like this takes time. There's twice a day she needs medication. She has to be walked on a leash to do her business. She's got cabin fever and tells me she has to do her business when she does not have to do her business because she just wants to walk outside, right? So now I've got her on a schedule of 6 little walks a day, and Tactical's been helping me with one of her morning walks, and that's really helpful. But today I was all set. It was like roast the necessary coffee, get it prepared for shipping, record the podcast, roast more coffee, right? Record Unloose the Goose this afternoon. at 4 o'clock, and then dinner at 6, and then Mama Sauce arrives, so I got to be Mama Sauce dinner. And in there, I gotta there's this. I have to do hydrotherapy for the dog and all this stuff, and that leads to a really big to-do list. And this is what is causing Krystal to be kind of stressed out because she's like, I'm going to make time for me. I like to hike. I like to camp. I like to go find heart-shaped rocks. That's Krystal. Okay. And when she does that, here's what happens. Sometimes she's been working her butt off all day long. She's had to feed the kids. She's fitting this walk in where she can fit this walk. And she goes on the walk and she's like, I'm just flipping tired. I don't want to do this walk. But if I don't do the things I enjoy, how am I making time for myself? Okay. It's a valid question. And there are some ways. So I face this too. When I get between now and Self-Reliance Festival, which is in 2 weeks, busy, right? And then right after that, I'm going to Rogue Food Conference. So busy. And I like to kayak. I like to go for a walk with my dogs. I like to swim laps. I like to eat high quality food. I'm in the middle of making bone broth and canning, but there's all these things I like to do for me. And sometimes at night, true confession, I eat dinner. And you know that after dinner time where you can get a lot of stuff done? Like stuff for you. You can read a really good book that you need to catch up on, like the Real Anthony Fauci, which is on my list. Or you can deep clean the kitchen, or you can clean the bathroom, or you can work on writing that book you need to finish. You know that time? You know what I do? On navigate to Reacher, and I hit play and I watch TV for an hour. Sometimes I watch TV for 2 hours. And during that time, I'm doing nothing. I'm not knitting. I'm not hulling peas. I'm not organizing seeds. I am watching a stupid show. That's what I'm doing. And you know what that does for me? Turns my brain off. Makes me sleepy. Makes me able to sleep at night. And when that show's over, I kick the redneck out who usually came over to watch TV with me because he found out I was watching TV. I lock everything up. I go to bed. And I go to sleep. That's it. So when you look at your day and it's super full and you're exhausted and you're supposed to go do this thing you were going to do, like sing in the choir, sometimes your body is telling you something, Krystal. It is telling you, today this isn't a good fit. You know what's a good fit? Reading that fiction novel I wanted to read. Do I have dishes to do? Yes, I have dishes to do. I'm still going to read that fiction novel. So how do we figure out what is, I am not prioritizing things and not getting my stuff done versus I need to schedule in some rest? And I think that's the key. That's the key right there. So the first thing I do I have to do all these things. I have to give the dog medications. I have to roast the coffee orders. I have to record this podcast. I have to get the bacon webinar link up on the membership portal today. I need to send out the scheduling links to people who I'm interviewing for the show. I have to do all that stuff versus the get-tos. I get to cook a good meal tonight. It's probably going to be steaks, and I'm going to make a nice side salad that I grew in my cracky hydroponic system. And I get to go for a walk with my dogs. I get to have a nice cup of coffee quietly in the morning. I get to go be with my choir. I'm not singing in the choir right now, but I'm helping promote their concert. It's in 3 weeks. You guys should totally go if you're in the area. How do I balance all that? The first thing I do, Krystal, is I reframe a get to and a have to. That's the first thing I do. You know why? Because they're all get tos. When I go to work, I get to go to work and earn money to pay for things. And for me, work looks like going out to the roasting shack and roasting and shipping orders. It looks like marketing events and getting the event coordination stuff done. It looks like recording this podcast. It looks like getting that bacon webinar up. It looks like doing some web development stuff for some people and building a shopping cart. And That's get to. That's not have to. I get to give my dog antibiotics twice a day right now because he has a giant gaping wound on her leg. And the biggest threat we have right now is infection. And that's a get to, not a have to. I also have to do it, right? Like it needs to be done. And I take all my get tos. I get to sleep at night. I get to brush my teeth. I get to take a bath once a day. I get to do my laundry. Like, I have fun things that are get tos. I have other things that are get tos that I see the purpose of why I'm putting that effort in. And that's why I reframe it that way. And I put them on a schedule. And I call it my reality planner. If it's on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, I have at the top like the date, and I have each day of the week, and I have a realistic view of actual hours. Somebody in the comments, Lisa, said she goes to bed by 8 to 9 p.m. Yeah, me too, by the way. Me too. Sometimes I'm up till 10 o'clock. Woo-hoo! So I have a set number of hours where I'm actually up and aware, and I can stretch those hours if I want to. But if I sustain that over time, I get sick. So I don't do it. I just schedule in that I know I'm going to sleep. I'm one of those 8-hour people. I sleep for 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours. Sometimes I'm up in the middle of the night for an hour, can't sleep, get up and do something. But mostly I just sleep. It's disgusting for a woman my age. I know other people my age have trouble sleeping. I'm really lucky. I don't have trouble sleeping most of the time. And when I do, I get up and do something. So my hours start at 6:30 and I end my hours at about 8 on my planner. I have Sunday through Saturday, and it's a table, and it has kind of 1 hour segments. And when I know I have an appointment, like tomorrow, I am interviewing somebody for the podcast. I have that like once a week on Sunday. I type this up and I put it there because I know it's there. Or like Mama Sauce is arriving this week, so that's there. I know I'm doing Unloose the Goose from 4 to 6 today. That's on the thing. And in the morning, I usually have the same thing. That my morning routine's changed since Cece got hurt, but it'll go back. But so it's usually like get up, coffee, reflection, post the mugshot, go for the walk. Record the thought of the walk if it's a thought of the walk day. Start this project, right? And then whether, roasting, whatever it is. And then I leave it open the rest of the day if there's not anything like appointment-wise. But at least the night before each day, I look at the next day and I say, okay, what am I really getting done? And I write things in on those tables on those days. And this is what happens when I get all my get-tos. I run out of space. That's right. I run out of space for it. And here's the reality. This is why I call it the reality schedule. When you run out of space on your schedule, you are not allowed to add more to your schedule. And this forces you to make choices. So now you have a whole bunch of get-tos and you have a full schedule, and there's a get-to on there you really need to do. I need to do hydrotherapy for Cece. It takes half an hour. I've filled my schedule. I don't have time for it. Well, that's coming off the schedule, and hydrotherapy is going right there. And that thing is going on the next day, or it's going on the 3 days from now. Okay. That's the reality schedule. I had to spatially lay out my day that way to understand what I really had time for, because I can keep pushing and get more done. And that's great. But if I do that all the time, 100% of the time, I get sick. And then when I'm sick, nothing gets done. So I have found it much better to have my reality schedule. And no, in general, if I have extra time, I can do these extra things. And included in the reality schedule is that episode of Reacher. If I know I'm going to do Reacher because I'm having dinner at 6 and I'm going to eat dinner and watch Reacher for an hour, it's going to be 6 to 7. Boom, TV night. That's what I do. And that's a get to. But you know what else is a get to? I get to make my cup of coffee every morning, right? It's Holler Roast. It's really tasty. I'm really glad I got my smell back from COVID so that I can taste this, because it did taste like smoky ashtray for about 3 days last week. I get to do that, and I get that time. But you know what else I got to do today? I got to call a credit card company that had fraudulent charges and spend 25 minutes with them trying to figure out what was up with the fraudulent charges and canceling that account so nobody else can keep doing the fraudulent charges. I got to do that. That just means my credit score won't go through the floor. So that was worth it. I got to have a call with my accountant about how I screwed up my payroll in 2021. That's right. I paid myself the wrong amount of money, and now I have to go back and redefine it all. Luckily, it's an easy fix. But when she told me I had to do this, I was like, how do I do that? I don't know how to do that. And she's like, we'll have a call. It took her 10 minutes to explain it. I got to spend 10 minutes on that. I was not roasting coffee at that time. And then I started roasting coffee and I was almost done with my orders. I come in and there's blood all over my living room floor. And so I looked at my schedule and I looked at everything on my schedule today. And one of them was this podcast. It's like, that is now a live stream that starts at 11 because I'm driving to the vet right now with the dog because she figured out how to get the edge of her cone like up under that wound on her leg and open it up. Yeah, so we just undid the last 2 weeks of healing and we're starting over. This is so great. And the vet said, I went to the vet, I didn't know how long I'd be there. And the vet was like, can you just leave her here? And I'm like, yes, I can, but watch that cone because that's what caused the whole problem to begin with. I'm going to go home and clean up my living room floor now, and I'll be back when I'll be back. So that is a get to, right? I get to take care of my dog because I love my dog. I want my dog in my life. And it's a pleasure to be able to help her through this illness, even though it's a pain in my butt, because what this means is she didn't die. I still have my dog, and that's a good thing. Okay, so I start with reframing things from have to get to, everything. And if there's anything on the have to list that's like literally a have to that can never be a get to, I address that. And the only one I haven't figured out how to reframe, guys, is my taxes. I will never get to pay my taxes. I will always bitch about this thing. But everything else, if it's on the list and it's a have to, and I cannot reframe it in my head, I can't find the reason why that's a benefit to me, it comes off the list completely. Off the list completely. And some things that you think are really bad on your have to list, you actually are getting a benefit from that. Defining the benefit helps you prioritize it in your mind. That helps you be more enthusiastic about doing it and just get it the heck done, right? And then once you've got that done, it's off the list and you don't have to think about it because half the time thinking about the shit on our list takes more time than actually doing the shit on our list. That's the other reality of our lives. Okay. And then you got to let perfection go. My answer to Krystal when she put that online was to give her a picture of my kitchen sink right now. I care a lot about keeping my household together. When I get really busy, my household slips pretty bad. Pretty bad. Like tumbleweeds from dog fur, bad. I can get tumbleweeds in 2 days if I don't vacuum. And I do. Because sometimes when I get through the list and Reacher is on the bottom of that list, vacuum the living room was not. I make sure my dishes get done once a day, almost all the time, unless I have a big crisis where in the middle of the day I have to go to the vet, and then those dishes might not get done all the way. They're always moving. There's always dishes to do. But my sink this morning, it had a couple things going on. It had eggs soaking to be washed. Yes, I do wash my eggs because ducks are gross. It had the remnants of me making a comfrey juice to spray on Cece's leg while it's healing to help that tissue get healed. It had 5 or 6 dishes that didn't fit in the dishwasher when I started the dishwasher that I totally could have done by hand, but I didn't do them by hand because I knew later in the day when I unload the dishwasher, I can load them in. And it looked like a dirty sink. And she said, like, how do you balance this stuff? And I'm like, this is my kitchen right now. It is not clean. It will be clean later today, but it is not clean. When I do the 4 to 5 p.m., I get to clean my house thing, I always start in the kitchen because it's the one place you really don't want it yucky. Kitchens and bathrooms always go first at my house, and then it's the rest of the declutter and everything else. Kitchens and bathrooms, if you clean those on the regular, everything's better in your life. So that's a big thing, is letting perfection go. Once you have the list of everything and you have the reality planner, you realize you got to kick stuff off. That means you have to get really good at letting things go. Let it go. Let it go. That's right. That song had something to do with something. And make sure you add rest as a get to do. Make sure you put that in and you find the right balance for your life. And if enjoying hikes is something that's important to you, find a way to fit them in that means you enjoy them, even if it's once a week on Saturday, 10 in the morning, whatever. Kids get to drive themselves somewhere. I don't know how that looks for you, Krystal. I don't know what the right time is. After you've had a good night's sleep, I get to go on a hike. I'm going to do it for 2 hours. I'm going to come home. And the reality is after a hike, you don't just jump straight into work. What you do is you sit around, you have a cup of tea or something while you're like, wow, that was a great hike. And you get to enjoy the fact that you did it. And then you move on. 4, learn to silo like a psychotic person. Do you know what siloing is? Siloing is I will focus on this one thing and do this one thing. And that's all I will do. And I will ignore everything else. People who are good at this find that they can ignore all the crap that's stressing them out and get something done, and they get more done. When you're running a business, the best business people learn how to prioritize stuff and then ignore the stuff that doesn't matter. And most of the stuff and the pressure we're putting on ourselves doesn't matter. It really, it doesn't matter. That does not matter that I have dishes in my sink right now while I'm recording this, because I'm recording this. It will matter that I have dishes in my sink when I go to cook lunch for everybody today. And that's probably when the sink will get all cleaned up so that my kitchen is clean so I can cook lunch, right? So learn to silo like a psychotic. I do this all the time. I will go into the roasting shack. I have 2 hours of roasting. I've got to just bang this out. And that 2 hours of roasting can take me 6 hours. It can take me 4 hours, or it can take me 2 hours. The way to make it take 6 hours is to multitask. And that means that while I'm roasting, I'm answering chats, I'm talking on the phone, I'm running into the house and doing stuff, I'm switching laundry over, whatever. If I just go into the shack and I pop on some music, or I pop on a podcast or something, and I roast my butt off, I can bang out some roasting fast. I get the orders out. They're accurate because nobody interrupted me while I was trying to do the orders. And I'm done. And that's behind me. And then I can silo the next thing, which is this podcast. That's how today was supposed to go. 2 hours of roasting and then this podcast. What I really got was an hour of roasting, a trip to the vet, and then this podcast. And after this podcast, I'm going to do another hour of roasting. And then hopefully that'll be there before the mailing deadline. If it isn't, though, I got to drive to town the second time to get the dog. And there's a post office there, so I can drop him off at the post office. So it just doesn't really much matter now that I have committed to 2 trips to town before 4 p.m. today. Anyway, silo. You do hear me talking about my dog, but I'm not going to sit here and obsess about my dog. She's at the vet. They've got her. They're going to figure out what to do. Whatever she did to herself isn't going to make her die. It's just going to make her take longer to recover. And I'll hear about it when they call me. In fact, they may be calling me while I record this, and my phone does not ring right now. So I don't know if they call me because I'm siloing. I'm siloing to get this podcast done so that y'all can be entertained by me. You can enter your own tricks into the live feed if you want to. And we all get our stuff done, right? So siloing is something people always say is a bad thing. And it is bad if you live in a silo and don't communicate to people around you about things that you need to communicate to people around you. But really, the ability to shut out everything and just do the one thing, I think, is the best skill you can work on. And it's the skill that's been destroyed by social media, just by how we use it, where we allow ourselves with the notifications to be interrupted all day long by, comments on Facebook and Facebook Messenger and text messages and Twitter and Float and YouTube notifications. You probably got one for this if you were on. You see, those things interrupt you and they distract you. If you need to be really concentrating on something like getting your taxes done, which is the worst job of my life every year, it's better just to turn it all off and do it. And when you turn it all off and do it, you get it done faster. You have more time to then go onto social media and actually talk to people and have a conversation, as opposed to an intermittent one-liner trading of quips, which, it's fun to watch other people do that, but it's probably not the best use of your brain power. Ask for help. Krystal, you need to ask for help. I don't know what you need to ask for help for, but a really cool way to ask for help, you're going to want to get your gardens in soon, and you have an aquaponics system you need to set up, and you like planting flowers, whatever it is, and that's kind of your zen place. You probably have friends who like to do that too. You could totally have an aquaponics planting party. That's what I mean by ask for help. We need to go pollard trees. I have had it on my list for 5 days. Tactical has finally started asking me, how do I pollard trees? Because you haven't been pollarding trees because stuff keeps coming up. I'm like, I'm going to ask for help and let you do this. I'm going to show you where to pollard the trees so we can start pollarding the trees so we get them while they're still dormant, right? But it's fun to make it into a festival. If what you want to do is make a bunch of Christmas cookies at Christmas, have friends over for Saturday, make the cookies. Ask for help. Ask for help in having fun, right? If you're not having fun hiking by yourself, schedule it with a friend and go out to lunch afterwards, or go to lunch at your house afterwards if you're keeping your budget down, whatever that looks like. Ask for help. It's hard to ask for help. When you're a single mom as a primary breadwinner with all this stuff going on and you feel like everybody's judging you, screw them. Ask for help. I don't know what you need help with. You know what you need help with. You can have help with fun, or you can have help with projects and make them fun, but ask for help. That's the best thing I can say. I do that when I get really overwhelmed. I make a list of minimums, and then I look at that list of minimums and I say, if I pay my mom to do 4 of those things, what would they be? And then I call my mom, literally, and I say, these 4 things I will pay you to do these. And she does them. And sometimes she's like, I don't know how to do that. And then I'm stuck with it. Oh, well, life goes on. I ask for help all the time in that way. So those are my thoughts on how to balance have-tos versus get-tos. The first thing is make all of your have-tos into get-tos to the best of your ability. The second thing, let perfection go. The third thing is come up with your reality planner. If it doesn't fit on your planner, it doesn't fit, and you need to make choices about priorities. Number 5, or 4, 5, add in rest. I guess number 4 is add in rest as a legitimate get-to. Add in rest as a legitimate get-to, whether it's sleeping at night or whatever. I know people who don't sleep at night much during the week and sleep half the day Saturday, like however that works for you. Learn to silo like a psychotic person and get really good at it. And then ask for help. Those are the things. I don't know if anybody else watching the live feed had their own thoughts. You haven't put much in there. We just keep up with the kids or listen or watch you, Jack, or everybody else shovel snow, nest, and wait for the baby to arrive. Yay! Baby arriving. That's fun. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear everybody else's thoughts on this. If you have any, just send them over to Nicole at livingfreeintennessee.com. I'll read them on the show, or you can put them in the comments of the show notes. I will see them on YouTube or Odyssey if you put them in the comments there. I don't think Float is archiving the videos where we can see them yet, but it looks like we made it. We made it through no, stream went offline on Float. I thought we were going to make it through a whole Float stream, but we did not. So hopefully they get that gremlin worked out soon. Anyway, if you like the show and want to support the work I'm doing here, you can do it in 2 ways. 1, get your coffee at hollowroast.com. Valentine's Day is coming. Coffee makes a good gift. Just saying, February is for lovers. I like to say every month is for lovers because I don't think we should just, put it down to 1 month, but the commercial world puts it down to 1 month. Anyway, we've got some really great options over there. The other way you can support the show is to become a member. Just go to livingfreeintennessee.com and click on membership, and that gets you access to webinars. For example, this Saturday at 12 Central, we're doing a Makin' Bacon webinar with Leos. He's Mike Leos is going to present on that. I was going to present on it, but then I thought he makes better bacon than me, so maybe I can get his recipe and use it here. Yep. So that'll be, if you log into your membership portal, the link will be there. I'll be sending an email out to all members with the link tomorrow because Mama Sauce is here to help me do it. Right? And it's going to be a fun webinar. I hope you do join in on that. With that, guys, go out, make it a great week. I always do a dramatic pause at the end so that when I'm editing the audio for my podcast, I can totally do that. Guys, thanks for joining the live stream. Homestead Glamour, you need more coffee? You should tell me how much coffee you need and let me deliver it to you in person because I believe I'm going to see you in 2 weeks, right? Homestead Glamour, for anybody who wonders, that's our body butter artist. And she will be at Self-Reliance Festival selling her body butters and other products that she makes. So I'm going to see her in person. No point in shipping that stuff around. You get a better deal if I hand deliver it. Just saying. So let me know about that. And guys, thanks for joining the live stream. I really am trying to do one of these once a week most of the time. When things come up, like my dog, though, getting really hurt and me having coronavirus, I don't go live because I, had low energy. When I have low energy, it doesn't make a good video. Just saying. So hopefully Mondays or Wednesdays, pretty much when we'll be doing these lives. I do plan to be live another day this week with John Willis. I'm trying to get Dr. Barry on too, but I don't know if his schedule will work out. If not, I'll see who else we get to drag on. Thanks for joining in. Have a great day. Make it a great week.